Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, October 1st, 2020. We appreciate your attendance, and for those at home listening, we appreciate you being on with us as well. We'll start out with a roll call.
Are we ready? I'm waiting on what's the mission on Satterfield? Are you signing Chairman Thurman?
Oh,
I
okay.
was trying to put on there.
Working?
Yep.
There it goes.
There it goes.
There you go. And we're all here. Tonight's opening presentation, this is Fire Safety Week, and I have a proclamation that I'm going to read and present to Chief Thompson with your approval. It says, Dawson County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of Fire Safety Week proclamation. Whereas Dawson County is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Dawson County, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern and homes are where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas according to the National Fire Protection Association, fire departments in the United States responded to over 357,000 home fires in 2017, and home fires killed more than 2,630 people in the United States, and whereas 2 of every 5 home fires start in the kitchen, with 31% of these fires resulting from unattended cooking. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are better prepared and more likely to survive a fire. And whereas working smoke detectors cut the risk of dying in a home fire in half. And whereas Dawson County Emergency Services is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and education. And whereas the 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme, Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert and use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Dawson County do hereby proclaim October 4th through the 10th, 2020 as Fire Safety Week, and urge all citizens of Dawson County to check for kitchen fire hazards and use safe cooking practices, and to take advantage of the many public safety education programs and fire prevention activities offered by Dawson County Fire and Emergency Services. And that's attested, signed by me and Chris. What's the pleasure of the board on this proclamation?
Make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Chief Thompson, if you'll come up, please, we'll present you with this proclamation.
Guess that's the one thing good in my life, doesn't cook, so I got a lot of this.
Me too.
Y'all want to come down and get a picture? Come on
That
down.
just makes me proud that I done it.
Get a picture. You hold this.
I made it right to see.
Cheers.
All right, let's get a picture.
Yeah, I'm very. In other words, you didn't have.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
I ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. Would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you would give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this great community. For it's in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Does anyone have any announcements? Any announcements? I have one. Laura informed me today that the deadline for the census has been extended to Monday, October the 5th. Currently, Dawson County is number 37 out of 159 counties with a 63.3% response rate. So there's still a little bit of work to do. As you're familiar, the census has many effects. It affects the number of representatives we have to represent the state of Georgia. It also has a lot to do with funding that comes back down from the federal government through the state and what's called pass-through. So getting a good count of the people that we have in our community is essential to help us as well as keep our citizens the services that they need. So encourage people to fill out the census if they have not already done so, so that we can get like to have a 100% count.
I think the one note, just side note, in those percentages, we need to be careful because Dawson County has a lot of secondary residences. So if you've got two residences, your prime residence, say, is in Atlanta, and you got a second resident up here, it won't be counted up here, be counted down there. They're working on legislation, I think, to change that where it's not, doesn't show us as being lower. We do have a lot of people of a Big Canoe as well as on the lake that are secondary residences. I don't think we'll ever get to 100, but just a note.
63 point what
Three.
percent?
63.3. Any other announcements? Do we have any other announcements? Okay. Next up, we have approval of the minutes. First up, the minutes of the work session held on September 17th, 2020. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Those are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on September 17th, 2020. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. I don't have any changes to the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this segment.
No, sir.
We'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of a proposed quitclaim deed to release the county's leasehold interest in that certain 300-plus acres of real property being sold by Etowah Water and Sewer Authority. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have a copy of quitclaim deed that we prepared and circulated to the authority. We've been asked to quitclaim the county's leasehold interest in that certain 300 acres plus or minus of real property that is under contract by the authority to be sold. The closing on that is pending. It could happen within the next 3 to 4 weeks, as I'm told from the authority's lawyer. And so as a house cleaning measure, we're being asked to execute this quitclaim deed to release, again, the leasehold interest that we have in the property, the greater subject property. We're only releasing that from the 300 acres to be sold. The quitclaim deed is, as I said, was prepared by our office. And unless there are any questions, I'm not sure.
Questions of council?
You get your questions answered.
No, is the mitigation bank still open?
There are still 515 credits, as we understand it, available. That is separate from this quitclaim deed.
Okay,
Action.
so it's separate.
It is. There will be another agreement executed between the authority and the county to split the 515 credits
Okay.
between the two to be continued to be available for whatever projects they need to be available for coming up. After those are expended, and I did see your question that came across my email.
Okay.
Once those are expended, then any transfers of the property that might happen at that time would occur.
Who will be responsible for seeing that the like Ducks Unlimited or the Nature Conservancy or whoever will be deeded
It would be the authority's responsibility.
that? Okay.
And that is very strictly managed. So
Is
there's
it?
no way you, I mean, because if you breach that contract that was originally put in place, then it forgoes all the credits that were originally generated off of it. So it is, they treat that extremely serious.
Well, I'm
And so
glad.
that 143 acres is still included in this 300?
I don't know.
I don't think, it's not included in the mitigation bank. It's included, there's wetlands in there, but it's not in the actual mitigation bank. the way I understand it.
That's right.
So it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't release any of those mitigation credits. And my understanding is McKee said we would use those for, first and foremost, for Dawson County projects where we might have to have credits
Okay.
for road construction projects and things like that. That's what I understood. Because otherwise we'd have to go out to the open market and buy them at that time, at whatever market price was.
Other questions of council? Motion.
So we need a motion to approve the
Yeah.
quick claim?
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the quick claim deed.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
Well, this is in my door, and I voted against this at the other, so I'm really concerned about the whole thing, and I want to live where I live, so to support my neighborhood, I'm going to think about this.
Other
Just wanted-
discussion.
I just wanted to make that comment.
Other discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 3-1. All right, next up, we have consideration of professional exemption and budget increase request for production of schedules and tables for rural and urban properties. That was brought to you a couple of weeks ago. Any other information needed in reference to that? That total was how much?
39.5.
39.5.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about the contract itself.
Go ahead.
Chief Appraiser raised an issue with our office about pending litigation with the contractor and another entity. It doesn't involve the county at all. And in reviewing the contract that is before you today, there isn't any indemnification or sort of protective provisions in that contract. And if it is the pleasure of the board to approve the contract today, I would suggest that it's approved subject to our further review of the complaints that are with the contractor and adding in prior to execution of that contract and a proper indemnification provision.
Think we need to just table it till we do?
If it's not an urgent
Yeah, is it urgent?
contract, I would suggest.
I think it's
that
pretty
that be the
urgent.
case.
Is it?
If it is urgent,
Yeah.
We really need to get started on this. It's a 6-month project and it needs to be in place for assessment notices to go out next May. And it will take every bit of time yet. With that being said, you know, I'm willing to do whatever you all direct us to.
How long it take you to
So
draw
2
up
weeks
that?
will make a difference?
How long it take you to draw up that
I'm
provision?
sure we could have it ready for your next meeting if that was the
2
pleasure.
weeks gonna make a difference.
That's what I was asking her.
2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, let's just do that.
So what do you want to do? Table it for 2 weeks?
Yes.
I need a motion to that effect.
I make a motion that we table this until our next meeting.
A motion to table by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second,
seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion.
Do we need to specifically give direction to legal in those motions to make those adjustments, or are you okay to do it without direction on that?
I think that the contract that will be presented to you at the next meeting will have all of the changes in it.
Okay.
And it will be, I'm sorry, the contract that's presented at the next meeting
we
will
can
have
sign.
all of the changes included, and that will be the contract that you will then be asked to review and approve.
Thank you.
So
Other
we don't have
discussion.
to say it's due to
We don't need to
legal
amend it then.
reasons or, okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That's tabled 4-0 for 2 weeks. Next up, we have consideration of 2021 holiday and payroll calendar that was presented to you by Brad 2 weeks ago. Any other information needed? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule. That was presented to you by Ms. Kristen 2 weeks ago. Any other information needed? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of a resolution expressing support for Amicalola Falls State Park. Sharon and I attended a meeting at Amicalola Falls a month ago, I guess, somewhere around then. They're in the process of getting a grant to replace their
Visitor Center.
visitor center. There you go. And so they had asked for the board's support in reference to a resolution or any type of letter that anybody would like to write in support of that as part of the package. They get points towards that grant for everything that they put into it. And so we have this resolution that I will read to you for your consideration. A resolution by the Dawson County Board of Commissioners expressing support for Amicalola Falls State Park. Whereas Amicalola Falls State Park is located in northern Dawson County, Georgia, and is a crown jewel for Georgia and is a natural and outdoor recreational resource for the residents of and visitors of Dawson County. And whereas Amicalola Falls State Park showcases a 729 feet, the tallest cascading waterfall east of the Mississippi, and also serves as the main starting point for the 2,100-mile Appalachian Trail, attracting thousands of visitors to Dawson County from other states and countries. And whereas the entrance to the approach trail to the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail is situated behind the current obsolete and undersized visitor center on Amicalola Falls State Park. This brands the park with regional and international significance, and whereas the North Georgia Mountain Authority wishes to make a substantial improvements to the Amicalola Falls State Park by building a new visitor center that will accommodate the needs of the park staff, Linfoot Hike-In, and the Georgia Appalachian Trail Club, but more importantly, the visitors to the park. And whereas the North Georgia Mountains Authority is applying for a grant from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program that, if awarded, would replace the 50-plus-year-old visitor center to better serve the public. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dawson County Board of Commissioners fully supports the North Georgia Mountains Authority with their grant application to the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program and requests the grant be fully funded by the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program Board of Trustees. Be it resolved this first day of October 2020. Ms. Sharon, you got anything else to add to that? You were at that meeting.
I know there's a lot of people vying for this money. Well, and it's just my opinion, but how badly it's needed. And he thought that I should write a letter, which I did not. I don't know if that'd be redundant. We might talk about that, but and I told him a story about Julie when she was like 6 years old, stayed in that first cabin when her daddy was representative or senator then or whatever. So it's just so needed, and they've got the beautiful lodge, and then they have remodeled the cabin. So I think it's time to redo the visitor center. Not that anybody might agree, but it was a good meeting, and this is something that's really needed, because I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I go by and people, sometimes they close the park. There's so many people. And then other times it's backed all the way down the road. So we've got a great park, and it reflects on our county too. So I cannot say how much support I am of this. So it was something that's needed so much.
And as they, stated up there, I believe that the gentleman said somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 people annually visit Amicalola Falls State Park. Well, obviously, as those people visit, they benefit all of Dawson County because they buy and purchase goods and services, which helps everybody. And so, yes, and it goes back to what we've talked about a whole lot of times. This is a grant application that they're putting in for. They didn't ask for money from the county. They're just wanting support from the county. And as we've said many, many times, they're going to give this grant money to somebody, and I want them to give it to somebody here in Dawson County. And so I too agree with Ms. Sharon that this is a very worthy cause, and
And it's needed. It's not just something that you
Right.
want. There's a difference between a need and a want. And this is really a need.
this is replacing a 50-something-year-old structure
Yes.
that's outdated and wore out.
Yes, yes.
Any other information or comment from the board? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that resolution is approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this segment.
No, sir.
We do have need for executive session to discuss litigation. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. There will not be a vote coming out of this executive session. I want to thank everyone for your attendance. Thank those that are online with us as well. We'll take about 5 minutes and we will meet in here in executive session. Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.
Kristen.